The tourist spat in front of the guard, thinking his money gave him the right to do whatever he wanted, but the guard's reaction shocked everyone. What happened next changed everything: the crowd's opinion and the atmosphere of the day. London, rain, but, it's the usual. The majestic Buckingham Gates and all that. At the moment when tourists flood the square, absorbed in the hunt for memorable photos. And there's the guard, always there, in his red uniform and bearskin hat, like an eternal statue. He doesn't move, doesn't notice, and some even hope that he'll cry, or at least smile. Yeah, sure, let's keep fantasizing. The tourist, an American, of course, in dirty sneakers with a beard, walking confidently, like the whole world owes him something, as always, with a beer in his hand. He's pushing his way through the crowd, unfazed, as if he's the center of this little universe, and then he spots his target. The guard. Oh, how lucky he is. Why just look when you can experience it? He lifts his glass as if for a toast and shouts, "Hey, buddy, smile!" The crowd freezes, like there's a split-second pause in the show. Everyone's looking at the guard, and he doesn't move. Of course, no one expected him to react, but the tourist doesn't give up. A spit. Yeah, you heard that right. The tourist spits at the guard's feet, smirking at him, and then laughs. Seriously, laughs. This is beyond the pale. Who does that? Hey, man, are you out of your mind? And the crowd starts backing him up. A few people laugh, some even clap. This is a show, right? The tourist is the star and the guard is just part of the set. Well, yeah, he's just supposed to entertain, right? The guard, as expected, didn't budge. Silent, as always, standing still. But something's stirring in his chest. He feels the disrespect in the air, ready to ignite at any moment. "You stone or something?" the tourist shouts, holding up his beer. Well, there you go, folks. This is the modern world. Pay money, and you can do whatever you want. That's his law. This channel won't survive without your subscription and likes. Help me. The tourist, noticing the guard's lack of reaction to his spit, decides, well, since he can't blow him up with a glance, it's time to step things up a notch. He swings his beer glass and takes a step forward, almost touching the guard's nose. Everything around them seems to freeze. He stands there, almost nose to nose, with a brazen grin, like he's the boss, not the one standing on guard for centuries. "Are you even alive or what?" the tourist yells, as if expecting the guard to give some kind of reaction. Seriously? Like the man standing in front of him could be that easily disturbed. The tourist reaches up for the bear hat, about to touch it. Hold on. Now this is crossing a line. Are you out of your mind? Who behaves like this? The guard, without changing his expression, steps back calmly and quietly. The tourist is left with empty hands, feeling even more convinced of his victory. It's just insane, really. Now attention. The beer glass is back in the tourist's hand. In his eyes, a gleam of victory. He's about to take a swing. Beer? At the guard? This is ridiculous, right? "Let's see how you react," he says, aiming at the guard's uniform, nearly ready to spill the drink all over his majestic armor. But here comes the twist. A little boy who, like everyone else, had been watching the scene unfold, suddenly gets scared and falls. Noise, commotion, street chaos, all of it changes in an instant. The guard, who had been standing motionless like a statue, abruptly springs into action. He rushed forward, as if there were no time to think, and scooped up the frightened child into his arms, calming him down. A drop of beer from the tourist's glass hits the ground, but now everyone's attention is on something else. The crowd starts talking. Some are laughing, others whisper words of support to the guard. "Now that's a man. That's a hero," someone quietly says. But all this time, the tourist remains on the sidelines, stunned by his failure. In his eyes, it seems like something has shifted. This was the moment he realized that his show had ended. Funny, but no matter how much he wanted it, it was now the guard who had won. And there the tourist stands, drenched in beer, looking like a complete fool, while around him, silence. The guard, breaking his sacred stance, reacted. This was the moment when all eyes suddenly shifted to him, not to the loud tourist. The expected show of failure, the emotional explosion from everyone who thought the guard couldn't see how he was being humiliated, didn't happen. On the contrary, there stood the man, calm as ever, composed and dignified. He quietly lifted the child, soothing him, while around him chaos and outrage unfolded. It was a moment of humanity that the tourist lacked. The guard was not just a soldier, he was an example of dignity. The crowd, which had just been laughing and supporting the tourist, now changed its tune. "What the hell are you doing?" one of the onlookers shouted, turning toward the tourist. Well, it's time to face reality. His behavior wasn't funny. It was shameful. "This is not a circus," a woman standing nearby yelled. Everything around them started to shift. Instead of laughter, there was condemnation. Sure, the tourist thought he was the star here, but now it seemed like his little performance had been canceled. And here's where it gets interesting. Someone from the crowd, seizing the moment, recorded the whole thing. Within minutes, the video spread across social media. "How can you humiliate a symbol of British heritage?" the commentators fumed. Where was that confident tourist who had just been insulting the guard? There he was, drenched in beer and embarrassed, having lost his victory. The video, like a virus, spread everywhere. And now, it wasn't the tourist on the pedestal, but the guard. Strangely enough, the video not only sparked sympathy for the guard, but also public condemnation of what had been happening. So, sorry, tourist. All your thoughts of, "I'm paying money so I can do whatever I want," just went out the window. And now, it's the guard getting the applause while you're a disgrace to yourself. The tourist, now soaked in beer, became a real target for ridicule. Just a minute ago, he was the hero of his little show. And now, everything changed. The laughter from the crowd, which had echoed when he started his provocations, disappeared, replaced by awkwardness. His support melted away like sugar in tea. He stood there, blushing, feeling the piercing gazes of every passerby. He hadn't even noticed when he became the laughingstock, but now there was no hiding. Who behaves like that? This is just beyond. The video, filmed by one of the onlookers, quickly went viral like a wild storm, sweeping everything in its path. Under each post, outraged comments. "How can you humiliate a symbol of British heritage?" That's what people were writing. The tourist, the very person who had thought himself in control, now found himself the subject of jokes and condemnation. His own arrogance had turned against him. The guard, returning to his post, ignored the crowd. He simply adjusted his bear hat and resumed his stance. He didn't need applause. He continued to stand, as he always had. And here's where it gets important. The silence. Restraint, dignity, composure. This is what the crowd saw. And miraculously, their opinion changed. They started applauding him. This wasn't just respect, it was admiration. He didn't let himself be provoked. He showed humanity when it mattered, and that counted. The tourist, feeling the ground slipping beneath his feet, started to retreat in embarrassment. He turned around, trying one last time to find even a glance of support, but only found contempt. No matter how hard he tried, he had lost. This was the moment when he realized that he couldn't win in this battle. The guard continued to stand, motionless and majestic, as always. And here it was, the true triumph. Not words, not shame, but actions spoke for themselves. Time passed, and life returned to normal. London was filled with its usual noise, chatter, and laughing children. But for a few people standing nearby, this moment remained significant. They understood that silence is sometimes the best answer to everything. After all, as we often see in the world, the one who stands firm despite everything turns out to be the strongest.